Today on the podcast, we have Ansh Mehra. Ansh is an AI consultant, product marketer at Zuddl, and a content creator who educates students about design and technology. All this, and he is just 25 years old. What struck me about Ansh is how he has repeatedly made lemon juice each time life has thrown him lemons. And he has literally hit a six on every bouncer. This spirit of his really appealed to me. Ansh is constantly reinventing himself. These days, he's busy consulting with legacy business houses to guide their leadership on integrating AI in their work so that they can embrace this new reality, since fighting it is not an option. If you're in your 20s, feeling overwhelmed with the routine questions of life, then this is the episode for you to get a fresh view to answering questions like: is what I am doing in college setting me up for success? How can I use my time to explore and really find my passion? Actionable tips on dealing with anxiety, and his mission of staying mentally healthy, since this is the way of leading a fulfilling life. We also talk about the future of AI and what it can't do. So we have packed a lot into this episode. Hope you enjoy listening and keep meditating. Hi Ansh, so glad to have you on Pragyaan. I'm really looking forward to this conversation for, of course, many reasons, and we will cover lots of things. But most importantly, what I want to go over is, of course, your journey and talk about AI and the various tools and how you've become a YouTuber.
Yeah.
But also talk about your inner journey, speak about the motivations that have brought you to where you are today, some decisions, also delve a little bit on your college life, which I find very exciting. I listened to your podcast and there were lots of fun things which I identified with.
Oh, you did?
In fact, yes, absolutely. Some things that you spoke about just in terms of, how do you take decisions, or just the fact that you've done varied things. And I was a lot like that, where I see myself more as a generalist and less as a specialist. And there is always value in doing both.
Yeah.
But I see myself as someone who's wanting to do different things and then cross-pollinate that knowledge. And I think I see a lot of that in your case as well when I sort of listened to your podcast and also did some work on or listened to your YouTube channel as well. So lots to talk about. I believe in tech. I believe in the power of technology. I think it's very empowering and is a great leveler. Today, because of the internet, everyone has access to similar tools. Of course, how we use it is a second question.
Yeah.
But just tell me, where are you on this inflection point? In the sense, I understand you're on the pro side, but tell me, what are the risks that you also see, and especially the impact on workforce?
Even before we get to this topic, right, I shared this website with you, Pessimist's Archive. So I would recommend everyone to check out this website. It's basically a collection of technophobia. So the word is that anytime a new piece of technology comes in, there are a bunch of people who get very anxious about how this will just break everything. And the very common phenomena is that anytime a big piece of tech is introduced into the market, there are three categories of people. There's opposers, there's builders, and then there's users. With time, evolution doesn't care about the opposers, because opposers are standing against the flow of the evolution.
Very true.
We've come to a point where there is no return. There might be regulations, there might be better laws around it, but it's not like we're going away from AI. We're moving towards it, and this is a signal that this is what evolution wants. Nobody knows where this will lead. This is the course of plan. With time, opposers will perish. The people who make the maximum amount of money are the builders.
True.
In this case, the people who own these companies. But on the other hand, there are some people who can simply use this tech in their day-to-day lives and still make a lot of money. And those come under users.
Yeah.
If we go outside AI, let's take YouTube as an example. When YouTube came into the market, so many companies, distributors, DVD sellers, TV channels said, if YouTube becomes popular, who will watch TV? Who will watch DVDs?
Very true. Yeah.
Eventually, they all adapted. The opposers perished. Builders who made YouTube made the maximum amount of money.
Yeah.
But YouTubers also made a lot of money.
True.
People like me who used YouTube to learn more skills also made a lot of money. So it's our time to understand that we're not supposed to be in the opposers category. You can either be a builder or a user.
Yeah.
It's better to be a user.
Absolutely. And, like you spoke about YouTube as an example, even if you're a user, you also have the ability to participate in that ecosystem. For example, you mentioned about how there'll be an AI assistant, and a lot of these things can happen over AI. You can also do a lot of plugins, right? Where, I can easily see a plugin coming in where someone can help me even buy a ticket, book a holiday for me.
Yeah.
I can give options and say, this is what I'm looking
Yeah.
for, give the broad parameters, and
Yeah.
all it asks me is, do you want a morning flight, evening flight, which hotel are you looking for? And just
Yeah.
through a talking format, I
Yeah.
can just go ahead and buy and book a holiday for myself, which today takes a lot of grudge work, right?
Yeah.
You don't particularly enjoy doing the research, and sometimes the whole joy of going on a holiday is also taken away because you're investing so much time.
100%.
Yeah. No, so there can be the users, of course, but I think the whole ecosystem will also develop over a period of time, is how I see it.
I mean, these things will take much more time to be widely popular. ऐसा नहीं है कि instantly everybody will start using them. The point is that it's so crucial for students and at least young professionals to understand that these things are coming in, so that they are not spending their young years in learning something which is going to get redundant.
True.
Because you have the most amount of free time and energy available. And the people who are elder to you, at least they have the experience tag.
Yes.
But if you enter the job market learning something which is going to get automated with 0 years of experience, then there's nothing that can save you.
Absolutely. But also for somebody who's early on in their career. So college
Yeah.
students early on in their career, where if they are in 5-6 years, AI is going to be really core to how they see their journey growing
Yeah.
and their career path. And if that's not a skill they have under their belt,
For
it's
sure.
going to be a huge disadvantage. So what are some 3-4 things, actionables, that these folks can think about?
Yeah, so let's talk about hard skills, right? Your ability to write.
Mm-hmm.
I think writing is going to be one of the most important skills moving forward. Your vocabulary. So you'll realize that even if you have something in your mind, if you can't put it into proper words and if you don't have a vocabulary to support your ideas, you can't prompt any tool,
Yeah.
right? So number one is just knowing how to write clearly and having a good vocabulary. Skill number two is your ability to think in terms of systems. Because even if you have AI to create these amazing apps and amazing ideas, if you're not thinking in terms of systems and for scale, you will probably make something that hits the ceiling at some point.
Sure.
So you have immense power at your hands, but you're using it for unscalable ideas, right? So there'll probably be a point where you will not even know how do I move further. So knowing that, oh, whatever that I'm working on will scale,
Mm-hmm.
right? Third is your ability to bring people together. Because even if you have AI with you, if you don't have people with you, if you don't have the communication abilities to sort of sell your product, you
Yeah.
will have a great product, but nobody to sell it to.
Sure.
You can create great videos using AI, but nobody's watching them.
Yeah.
You can create a great app using AI, but nobody's buying it. So you need to know how to position yourself, communicate with people, and then most importantly, your mental and physical health. Because if you don't have your mind and body with you, you will have low energy, chaotic thoughts, no clarity at all. You will eventually burn out. So none of this will help you in the long run if you're not healthy.
No, that's a great segue to talk a little bit about what I feel. Also, the reason why I started this podcast is really, talking about inner journeys and how various people have taken a bunch of decisions to get them to where they are today. Like I mentioned earlier, I listened to your podcast and I saw, and rather I heard that even in college, you struggle with the regular questions like most kids do, right? And I think when I think about when I was in college, we had limited options, right? You had, you'll become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Engineering was the most, big thing. If you were really being very ambitious, you would go ahead and do something in arts or in political science or, things like that. Or choose an option like I did, which is, doing commerce and then taking various routes and landing in public policy. But I think the kids today or the millennial generation today has the problem of abundance, right?
Yeah.
Where there are a lot of options, the struggle is a little bit less, and so there are the problem of making the right choice for yourself. And so just help me understand, what do you feel through your interactions and your journey as well, or your college life, how were you able to break that down and take those decisions for yourself?
Yeah, so I think if we talk about first principles, it doesn't matter what domain you're in, you need to ask yourself three things. There are actually three ways that you can essentially have a good sustainable career. If you're helping people save time, or if you're helping people make money,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're helping people forget about their problems,
Yeah,
then you're sorted. You pick any career. If you're an engineer, you're helping people save time.
true.
If you're a CA or whatever, you help people make more money. If you're an actor, singer, dancer, you help people forget about their problems.
Bring joy to their life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out where do you fit in. What category would you fit in? Whatever it is that you're pursuing, right? And I truly believe that no matter what you do, this could be the most unsustainable, risky career option. If you're very good at it, if you're positioned well into the market, if you know the top 50 people in your industry, you're sorted. Now, this takes a lot of time. It's not like you would just come out of college, be very good at what you do, and just be positioned very quickly. So then the question is, are you financially stable? And not you, is your family financially stable?
Mm-hmm.
So if your parents have enough backing, or if they are not putting a lot of pressure on you to pay the bills as soon as you come out, then you have a buffer period. Then you can take risks.
Sure.
But during that time period, you need to be honest with yourself as to, am I really good or not? Because there's a big difference between passion and hobby, right? I have a friend जिसको गाड़ी चलाने का शौक है.
हाँ.
इसका मतलब ये नहीं वो F1 ड्राइवर बन जाएगा. On the other hand, जो F1 ड्राइवर है उसका भी शौक ही था पहले, but it became into a burning passion and a burning desire, and he could not live without it, and then it went ahead. So during that buffer period, ask yourself, is this my passion or a hobby? For example, I had a hobby of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I confused it with passion.
Yeah.
I thought I'm passionate about filmmaking. If you're very passionate about filmmaking, you will not even care if you're making money or not. But
True.
when I asked myself that if I were not making any money till 5-6 years of my life, would I still like filmmaking? Turns out no. I would not. Like just seeing with my movie on screen, I'll be like, oh, मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए, बस मेरी picture release हो जाए. I was not that passionate.
Right. You need money in the
I
bank.
need money.
Yeah.
So
Like
I
they
realized
say.
ये तो hobby है.
Yeah.
Passion तो है ही नहीं.
Yeah.
And the fun part is that whatever gets you sort of excited at the age of 18 will not get you excited at 27. At 18, a cheap car, cheap set of clothes, cheap house, everything will excite you as long as you can party and get some stuff happen. But at 27, the society will start comparing you.
Hi. Enjoying the show? We post all the tidbits and updates about the show on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow us on both. The handle is Pragyaan_podcast. That's true, but just coming back to what you said, it's not easy to figure out what is it that you love. Because like you rightly pointed out, what you love may not be what you're good at and is your strength, or vice versa. And I have realized that if you don't love what you do, like the famous saying, if you don't love what you do, then you better start, making sure that you accept that reality.
Yeah.
And start to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing, because you have no other choice, right?
Yeah.
So, but how did you do that for yourself? Was there a tool, or did you meditate, or was there a sort of a 3-step kind of methodology you came up with, or was it just listening to your gut?
It's very evolutionary, right? So there's this very interesting book called Grit.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend every person to read it. It talks about the fact that when you see those experts on stage saying that I always knew I wanted to do this, if you actually were to track their history, you would realize that there was a time where they did not know.
Yeah.
It's just that when you look back, you're like, oh no, I always knew I wanted to do this, but no. You were pretty confused.
True.
And as the universe gave you more feedback, you fine-tuned your desires, you fine-tuned your strengths, and eventually luck also plays a very huge role. But see, it's very, very subjective, right? So just to put like a fictional story, which is inspired by true events, let's just have this uncle called Singhania Uncle, right? And Singhania Uncle made a lot of money probably from Chani Chowk, and Singhania Uncle has a business of, let's say, lehengas.
Okay.
उन्होंने जिंदगी भर लहंगे बेचे और काफ़ी पैसा कमा लिया.
ठीक है.
उनकी daughter बड़ी हुई, grown up in comfort. When you grow up in comfort, you're obviously very soft. So Singhania uncle thought that India में क्या ही भेजूंगा, let's send her to UK. तो वो UK गई, उसने कुछ पढ़ा एंड वापस आई, उसको यहाँ जॉब नहीं मिली, UK में भी जॉब नहीं मिली, यहाँ भी जॉब नहीं मिली. So then she has now started to sell muffins.
Okay.
She said that my passion is bakery.
ठीक है.
मुझे बेकर बनना है. And she was in this exhibition where I went and I had the muffins and they were terrible. They were so terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you were to use this 1 crore just to like travel and have muffins every day, you would have more feedback and experience on how muffins are made.
Yeah.
And Singhani uncle also knew that the muffins were shit.
Right.
But he could just not say it to her daughter.
Yeah.
But he told me.
He's like, Ansh, बहुत खराब है.
No, he said, इसकी माँ ने बोला support करो. मैं बोला, but उन दोनों को समझाना होगा आपको कि this is leading nowhere.
Yeah.
But that girl is a pretty smart girl. If you were to talk to her, but she's not self-aware about her own weaknesses, right? On the flip side, I have one more guy जिसका बहुत similar case है. Now this guy has been switching degrees twice or thrice, right? And he wants to be a filmmaker, but he's very bad at filmmaking.
Yeah.
So kids are not aware because इतना option आ गया है, parents ने इतना freedom दे दिया है कि वो serious ही नहीं हो रहे.
No, absolutely. And I think then what really comes is the fact that you have to surround yourself with people who are, one, better than you, two, who are honest and give you real feedback. Because if somebody comes to you, like for example, when someone comes to me and asks me what do I think about either their work or what they should do next, or even about their product. I have a friend who runs a bakery talking about muffins, and I'm very honest, because if they're coming to you, means you have a responsibility to give them really honest feedback about what you think. Because otherwise, for the rest of their lives, they're going to live under this illusion that you just mentioned and feel like they're the best baker in the world, and actually be so bad that even your friends and family don't eat your stuff.
Yeah.
But then coming back to, again, the fact that, okay, so how do you be honest to yourself? How do you be
So
that
now
self-aware?
these were the bad examples, right? Let me tell you some good examples.
Yeah.
Now they were in my college. So there was this one girl whose father is like a very senior guy in this very big tech company. Now this girl could have got a very good job right outside college instantly because of her father's approach. But this girl is like a serious acer, like she kills it at everything.
Okay.
Probably in her blood or something. But then what she did is she explored one field every year of her college life. Like in year number 1, I saw her doing Python and Java. In year number 2, she was doing marketing. In year number 3, she went into sales.
Wow.
Like she just shifted domains like crazy. And she also maintained high scores in her exams. Now, obviously, she's sort of gifted as well.
Sure.
So this is case number 1 where the kid is gifted. The kid has privilege, but the kid is not exploiting the privilege. So this kid is exploring. Now she's able to explore so much because she knows I can afford to fail.
True.
Right? As compared to a kid who knows that even my father is not earning enough. So let's just follow a very tried and tested path. I will not do anything but the syllabus because I want that job. It could be a below average package, but at least I know it is a package. Whereas this girl knew that even if I fail at sales, even if I fail at marketing, I will still pull it through. So this is case number 1, where you're smart, you can still explore. And then eventually when you explore, you get to find this soft spot between what the company and what the community wants versus what you're good at.
Sure.
So it's all tried and tested. The second is obviously very tough, but this is how I found my passion. So I knew that I want a good stable job. I tried everything. And then I also did some work where I hated what I was doing.
Sure.
So I eliminated. I could not find what I wanted to do, but I started eliminating. And after eliminating a lot of things, I eventually came across design. Because this was a place where it was intersection of creativity, but it was in technology. So for graphic designers, it's very difficult to make money.
Right.
Because even if you make an amazing poster, it is not directly impacting the bottom line of the company.
True.
Not directly influencing the profits. But as a UX designer, if I design your app well, it will save time in development, save time in salaries, money, everything. More consumers will download your app, more purchases, more checkout. So I thought this is the best.
You're also adding customer delight, which is incredible, right? I mean, that's the beauty of apps like WhatsApp or Truecaller or many others, where because they're so easy to navigate, you download them and you want to use them. And that is directly attributable to the UX designer, right?
And to the company's profits.
Yes.
So then you have high leverage. And as I said, this is that profession that came under I help companies save time and make more money. So I was checking two boxes at one point. And now if I'm working in a company like, let's just say Netflix, I'm also helping the customer forget about his or her problems.
Yes.
So now all three boxes are checked. Now if I have checked all these three boxes, I'm pretty sure the designers at Netflix are making a ton of money.
You're right about that. Yeah, no, so this is a great framework that you've given lots of young people to think through and find their strengths, their passion, or their career options in this sort of framework. Um, but when you came up with this, I also know that you had your own set of challenges with mental health, and you had your own set of issues with anxiety. And I know many kids today, when I go back to Jaipur, who are only thinking about the second story, the second model, which is my father, or I don't have privilege, I don't have a fallback, therefore I need to become an engineer or I need to get in the IAS. And these are the 2-3 options that I have. And if I don't make it through CAT, that's it. My life is going to come to an end. And there is no other option that I have. And so there is a lot of anxiety that they go through. And I really want to understand from you what advice do you have for them, but also when I heard your podcast and your journey about dealing with that anxiety, what really struck me was there was almost a detached way of how you spoke about it. It's like, yes, but Ansh is going through that anxiety. This is what I'm going through. This is how I'm dealing with it. And you also found very interesting ways to game your thinking. There's this line that you use about think about your life being not a thriller, but a sort of a humorous film, right? So just, I think kids who are listening to this or youth who are listening to this who are dealing with this, I want to get your perspective on it, because when you go talk to your parents, of course, you go, it's the first reaction is not, oh, I'll take you to therapy. The first reaction is, oh, you're just overthinking it, right? And you also feel very shy in bringing this issue up with your parents. I think urban, it's becoming more and more real, but I feel in tier 2, tier 3 cities, you almost feel a sense of shame in talking about the anxiety you're going through, because you feel like your parents are going to judge you and say you're not strong enough. Especially for boys, they feel that pressure नहीं ले पा रहा है, इसलिए you're using these examples of मुझे anxiety हो रही है या मेरे को panic attack हो रहा है. So how did you deal with a lot of this stigma that also comes with it, and be very open and say, look, I'm going through this, I need help, what can I do?
So I personally feel that even if now you tell any of your friends and family members that I'm going through a panic attack, nobody will come and help you. And that is the ugly truth. Even if I say all the gyan in this world, it's not like they will listen and implement. So the question is, how do we solve this? Right? And the truth is that it's a very lonely road. Only you can walk towards it. The only way to get started is to first safeguard your body and mind. When I say body, the first thing when you get very anxious is that you stop eating, you stop sleeping, you stop giving your body the fuel it needs to run. Because obviously your brain is distracted, right? So you're like, I will forget my meals, do this, do that. First, make sure before you even start working on the solution, you're eating on time, you're drinking enough water, you're getting enough sunlight, because you're basically like a house plant with emotions. Right? You're like a tree. So you need these things. First of all, these are the basics. Second is, stop consuming anything that triggers fear or negativity. So if you're watching a lot of horror movies, a lot of fictional TV shows where people are dying, there are cases, stress.
My God, that's a spiral.
Right? Like, stop watching, even though it might be very addictive. Stop watching. Like, I just don't get the point why people watch horror in the first place. I could never. Why would you pay to get stressed out? Right?
Totally
like,
identify
do you really
with
not
that.
have any problems in your life that you're paying to look at other people's problems? So stop watching anything negative. Don't put anything in your mind. Third is, start reading and consuming videos of people who have clarity. So in my case, I consumed Sandeep Maheshwari like a maniac. Like, I watched every video of Sandeep Maheshwari. I watched a lot of Dandapani. He's
Okay.
again like a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
I used to listen to a lot of podcasts. There's this one podcast called Insights and Perspectives. Again, so these were clear people. So
Right.
what happens is when you listen to clarity, you understand how they're thinking. So it creates better neural pathways in your brain, right? So third is listening to people who have clarity and staying away from people who are chaotic, right? So there are two kinds of people: one who give you energy, one who suck the energy out of you, right? Like energy vampires sort of a thing.
Very
So
true.
detect those people, and your body will tell you. Like your body tells you after that interaction whether you feel replenished or you feel drained. So be self-aware and figure out where does your body feel happy. In my case, I used to eat a lot of donuts when I had anxiety, and they used to make me feel very healthy. I don't think they negatively affected me at all.
Wow.
I used to eat
You're
one
gifted, huh? Your metabolism.
I used to eat one donut every day. I used to walk a lot. I used to drink a lot of water. And then I realized that I need to read more. So I started reading more. So I spent 2, 3 months just calming down my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, when you have a lot of anxiety and a lot of panic, you can't figure it out whether you're in the world or in your brain, right? It's a different thing altogether. You can be sitting in a room filled with people, but still be in your thoughts and
Very
not in the
true.
real world. So you need to make a conscious effort to come outside your thoughts, right? And then very few people know about this, but there's this Ashtavakra Gita.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yes.
different form of Gita altogether, and you have like a YouTube video transcript of this. Like the entire Ashtavakra Gita is on YouTube, and they talk about this concept of Chit Swarup Sakshi. Not sure if that's the word, but it's basically you imagining that if you come outside your body and look at yourself from a third person's point of view, how would you recommend yourself to take the next step? So rather than being inside you, you imagine that you're watching a movie with you being the main character,
Makes a lot of sense.
right? So why does this work? Because when you are giving somebody else advice, you're detached and you give unbiased advice. When you are talking to yourself, you make yourself the victim as to, oh, the world is against me, nobody wants to help me, it's going to get doomed. But when a friend comes to you saying that the world is ending, you always say, relax, it's all going to get sorted, it's not as bad as you think. So you need to practice that, being detached to the entire outcome, but this also takes at least 5 to 6 months. So you probably need to invest in a good therapist. I invested in college therapists, like
Mm-hmm.
students who were studying therapy, so they are more affordable
Sure.
as compared to a person who's very expensive. I started journaling a lot. So the podcast Take It Easy is a result of those journals. So every night I used to sit down and ask myself, why am I getting so much of fear and anxiety? And anxiety is actually a result of fear. If you understand why you are fearful, a lot of issues go away there. So I'll tell you, a lot of anxiety comes from the fact that you can't control either what's happening or you can't predict what's going to happen.
True.
For example, if you're going through a crisis and you have no control over it, you will get anxious. Or you think something will happen. There's a probability, not 100%, something will happen and you're anxious about that possibility. The second one is deadly because you can't fast forward time. So you need to sit through that period and just wait for it to happen. There's a very interesting quote, I don't know where I read it, but it said, if you can fix something, why worry about it?
Yeah.
If you can't fix something, why worry about it?
So true.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I realized that and I started inculcating that. And when I started doing that, when I started to realize that worry itself is draining me, I need to take action. And if I can't take action, I need to consult other people who can take action or can help me. So I've made like a framework of dealing with my fears. And the other side is understanding fearlessness. So I spent a lot of time understanding fear. Then I started researching fearlessness. Turns out there are two categories of fearlessness. And let's take an example. Let's just say that I have a friend who wants to go to the mountains in his bike.
Mm-hmm.
Very fearless guy. Says, I'm so fearless, I will not use a helmet, no protective gear. Very fearless. This is fearlessness out of ignorance. You're fearless because you're not even aware of all the possibilities and threats.
Yeah.
Now, if I go to this guy's house and show him a YouTube playlist of bikers dying on that mountain, then I've given him more information, which is biased. Now he will have fear.
Yes.
Now, from a fearless guy, I've converted him into a person who is very fearful because he's seen new content, new information in brain. Now, how do I go from this fearful point back to fearlessness? This is the most important part. I will bring in some people who are experts at biking and then put this fearful guy in training for 3 months and teach him that even if you bike to the most scary mountain ever, these are the tactics to go through. So, what exactly is happening is that I have informed him about new information which is empowering. Earlier, I supplied information that was disempowering,
Yeah.
which weakened him. Now, I invested time in training, in adding new information which was empowering. Now, this guy is back to fearlessness. But this is fearlessness out of information. Earlier, it was fearlessness out of ignorance. So, when you're trying to tackle your anxiety, a lot of people tackle it saying, I don't care what will happen. Let it be. That is out of ignorance. You're just being fearless for the time, and reality will catch up with you.
And it's a short term fix that you're telling yourself.
Even alcohol, right? It's like alcohol. You're forgetting about your problems and you're fearless because, oh, you're probably high on alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is out of ignorance. So spend time understanding how you can fix your problem.
And also playing it through, right? Like if we go back to your biker example, each one of us, mostly the anxiety comes from the uncontrollables, like you said, right? It comes from the fact that, oh, if I don't clear this CAT exam, what is going to happen? I'm not going to get that job. If I don't get that job, I won't be able to support my family. If I don't support my family, the next thing will be I'll not be able to get married. And you just play it out 30 years of your
it's
life in
domino.
your mind.
Yeah.
And you're just going down that rabbit hole, realizing that you're just sitting here and playing all these options out. None of it is really happening
Fiction.
outside. Yeah, completely fiction. But instead, what I'm hearing you say is that if you can create a plan B for yourself by adding more information, going and talking to other people who have taken that plan B path, may not have cleared but are very successful today. And the good thing is now you can connect with these sort of people because they're available to each one of us. So, if we can make that effort to go out, reach out, understand what does that plan B look like, then I think suddenly that anxiety is going to be a lot more easier to handle. But you're also dealing with this a lot of intellectually. You're not dealing with this in the feeling space, which is also very, very important, right? Because the fear translates into your physical body as well, right? So how it shows up, like you said, is not eating or losing a lot of weight or sleeplessness.
No, your BPM goes high, you vomit, you get blood from your nose. Like, yeah, then it stops you.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is very, very scary.
Yeah.
So, when it manifests even in your body, or rather they say you feel emotion first in your body and then you start to be more aware of it. For me, I think you're right. And I used to feel a lot of anxiety when I used to play sport because of these reasons, where you feel like you work so hard, you put in so much, but will I win that tournament or not? And the only way to move back to it is just work and prepare really hard.
If you're trained for it.
Exactly. Because then when you go into that moment, knowing that you're in that position where you can make the 6-foot putt and win the tournament, that's when you get anxiety. That's when you get the panic attack. That's when your BP and your heart rate is pumping away, and a 6-foot putt that you have made 50,000 times before suddenly seems like, the world is going to come to an end. And in those moments, what worked for me is actually going back to that prep work and saying, you've done this. You've done it so many times. So why is this so difficult? Just go stand there and just repeat that. And that feeling of confidence allows you to get over that anxiety, at least.
And training gives you that confidence.
And preparation. Absolutely. And I think even meditation helped me obviously come through that. But the question I want to ask you, that are there even moments today that you get that sense of anxiety, and what do you do?
So obviously it's not as bad as college days. Now I just get like normal anxiety, but see, anxiety is a very heavy word. I think I worry. So worry is like maybe level 1. Anxiety could be like level 3. So now I worry. Anytime I worry, I ask myself, am I thinking clearly? Is this reality or fiction? And then if it's reality, then I ask myself, how do I fix it?
Sure.
So you can't fix fiction. Right?
Yeah.
The problem is, if you're thinking about how do I fix fiction, you're solving a problem that doesn't exist. You'll never reach an outcome. So a lot of people, they have fears that are based in fiction. There is no solution for that.
Yeah.
If you have a real problem which is tangible, then at least you can start working towards it. I think at this point, I have made a conscious effort to change the way how I look at myself. The issue with victim mentality is that you obviously see yourself as this weak person in the story. So you need to change that narrative. You need to become the guy who kills it, who is unbeatable. But that happens when you work on yourself.
Yeah.
So you need to make a conscious effort on every aspect of yourself. So if you were to look at my pictures from class 12th, I wasn't this guy, right? I was very introverted, very weak,
Mm-hmm.
a terrible fashion sense, terrible way of walking. I used to slouch a lot. Like my entire body language used to represent weakness, right?
I can't imagine that person now that I look at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing the way you've transformed. Incredible.
So I had to spend some time redesigning myself completely. Everything matters. Your vocabulary, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk. Because when you change the way you look at yourself, suddenly the society also reflects that same perception. And if you look at yourself as a weak person, the society sort of sinks on the same wavelength.
They pick it up.
They
They
pick
pick up
it
the
up.
vibes. Yeah.
They pick up. They know the fact that you're feeling weak. And everybody loves a weak guy. Like everybody loves a guy that they can pick on.
Yeah.
Right? So then you become the target.
Hi. I hope you're finding the show engaging so far. Drop a comment below. It could be something you laughed about, something that made you pause, and even something that moved you. Especially what you heard shifted your beliefs. Just put it all down. I can't wait to hear from you. So tell me the small things that you did, because obviously today when I'm looking at you, I'm seeing like a 5-year, 6-year
Yeah.
product, right?
Yeah.
But you must have done smaller things. So what were those small things?
Okay, so I think first of all, it's the motivation to work very hard on yourself, on your skill sets. But motivation is a result of just two things. One of the two things. One is pain, the other is purpose.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of pain in your life, let's just say that there's nobody to fund your life, you probably have some surgery pending, something is going on, then that is pain. And usually pain pushes you to a certain extent. But then there's another side which is purpose. Let's just say Elon Musk, he has a purpose to go to Mars. So he's very motivated, intrinsically motivated.
True.
So you need to figure out your reason for intrinsic motivation. Otherwise, you will not be able to sustain everything that I'm going to tell you next. Figure out, is it pain or is it purpose? If it's none, that is also okay. I have 2-3 friends, no motivation at all. They're very happy. Like this is no competition.
Not at all. Yeah.
They are very happy. I talk to them all the time and they're very chilled out.
And there's also certain sense of acceptance in that. Like you said, right? I don't have purpose and I don't have any pain and I'm happy where I am
Yeah.
and this is my life.
Because probably his grandfather had more pain and he just hustled and they're just living off his efforts.
True.
Somebody has done some effort, right? Like it's not free.
But not at
The
all.
thing is, when we compare ourselves with somebody else, we are doing a single generational comparison, whereas the comparison is from your previous 6 generations. As to everyone in your family for the past 6 generations, what all decisions have they taken?
Yeah.
That is the result of your current lifestyle and stability and health and genetics, everything.
And the good news is the health and the genetics you cannot change, but the health, the decisions you make, the choices you make, and your own destiny is very much under your control.
At least, so the thing is, you can't even compare your progress with somebody else's. You can only compare where you were 5 years ago. Because we all start from the different stadium. It's not even in the same race. It's a different stadium altogether.
Yeah.
Right? For a person who's probably in some village versus a person who's born in Delhi, the stadium itself has been altered.
Very true.
Not even the same race.
Very true.
Right? So you can never compare. I never compare. Obviously, it's very natural to compare instantly. And it's very easy to look at someone's show reel because you just know the highlights and then you know everything about yourself. So you have all the bad stuff about you and nothing about the opposite person.
Correct.
Right? So there are too many biases in the way we look at our world. So in terms of the lists, right? First is that I told myself that I can fix my life and I'm going to change the way I look at myself. And the first step was to learn a skill and become valuable in the society.
So you took responsibility for yourself and for your actions.
Exactly. And then I asked myself, see, right now I'm a nobody. Why would somebody talk to me? I'm not like a very good looking guy who's a hunk or something, right? Like if you're very good looking, then you can at least expect people to talk to you. Like
You
if
get
you're
away with a lot.
yeah, if you're like a very pretty girl, you still get some attention, right? I wasn't pretty. I wasn't like confident.
Yeah.
So I realized that I need a skill, right? So I spent a lot of time learning how to design because I knew that this is one skill rarely available in India. Like very few UX designers are there. I am enjoying it. Let me become very good at it. Then I started making money through freelancing.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody pays you, it's a huge boost to your own self esteem,
Absolutely.
right? When somebody pays you, you feel very proud of yourself. You feel that I'm worth something. And I needed that confidence. Even marks will not give you that confidence. Getting 100 out of 100 versus getting paid 1 lakh rupees, the 1 lakh rupees will give you like an extreme shot of confidence.
Yes.
Because in a lot of cases, you're chasing 100 out of 100 to get 1 lakh rupees.
Yes. But you already got the 1 lakh first. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I started making money. And when I started making money, I asked myself, where should I invest it? So I started investing everything back into my body, my physique, my skin, my hair, everything. So when college, I used to like use this one soap for 20 rupees for everything. For shampoo, for face wash, for body, everything. One soap. And that used to sustain for like 2 months.
Yeah. I think you are talking about 70% of the men in India. Yeah.
Yeah, one soap, right? And I realized this is messing me up because after a point, I started hanging out in Bangalore. And in Bangalore, I saw this bunch of people who were very good at what they did and they were extremely smooth communicators and they used to wear very good clothes. And at one point, when they were talking to other people, they were not talking about their skills. So you could never really judge how smart is this person. But you could see that guy's suit, the shiny shoes, the slick back hair, perfect skin, no acne, beard trimmed. You would automatically get sold.
Yeah.
You would be like, I should probably trust this guy. Right? And I was like, why do I don't look like him? Like I look so weak. No, in this party of 150 people, nobody is even looking at me because I look like a nobody and I speak like a nobody. So there's this YouTube channel called Charisma on Command.
Okay.
And I started watching that channel aggressively. And on YouTube, so I don't know about girls, but in YouTube, there's this keyword, glow up as a guy.
Oh, okay.
So if you type on YouTube, glow up as a guy,
Right.
there are 5, 6 YouTube channels.
Okay.
And they keep making this content.
Okay.
And they use like these very, very weird terms, glow up as a guy, alpha, giga chad.
Oh.
There are like words for this.
Okay. So you can decide which look you want to
Yeah,
take.
which look you want to take. So I started taking notes in my Notion. I started documenting. I changed my products, everything. The thing is, this can only happen when you're making your own money, right? Because if you ask your parents that I want this face wash, this t-shirt, this shoes, you'll get a slap from them. You should probably focus on your marks and other stuff. So
Yeah.
I knew that I should probably fund this. I don't want to give an explanation to my parents as to why am I spending on all this.
Sure.
But if you make your own money, who's asking?
Yeah. True.
So I started doing that. I started changing everything about myself visually and I started learning social etiquette as to what to say, when to listen, how to move. Turns out I was making tons of mistake. I even have made like a very detailed YouTube video on how to network in parties.
Mm-hmm.
Like at this point, I am partying. I'm not like partying, but I go to every social event in Delhi.
Yeah, I can
Almost
imagine.
every on Saturdays and Sundays. Even though if I have a lot of work, I would be there. I don't drink, never had any alcohol, no smoking, nothing. But I'm always hanging around with people who are into this because I learn more from them. In fact, I have met more high net worth people in clubs than in networking events.
Yeah.
Because in networking events, everybody's like a leash.
True.
They just want something from you. So
There's an agenda.
Yeah, these successful people already know this.
Yeah.
So they already have these guardrails. They have walls built in networking events. But when you meet them in the club, there are no walls. You're just chilling with them.
By the way, these are extremely insightful networking tips. So you got to listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many. Like, I've made like a proper live stream on YouTube. I would recommend you folks to watch that 1 hour video. But very small things, right? And at this point, because you are in the game, you've been in the game for a very long time, you must have already learned them
Yeah.
through experience. But new college students are completely unaware. But they can save a lot of time if they learn these tricks. So there's this book called The Game.
Mm-hmm.
So that the book talks about impressing girls. But you can impress anyone with the same tactics, right?
Yes.
And to be honest, impressing girls is the toughest. Impressing guys is pretty easy because guys are in general dumb. Like to impress a guy.
Hashtag true.
Like to impress a guy, you just need to like have muscles, probably like a fancy car, like shirt, you're sorted. Like for guys, this is it.
Yeah.
Right? Like even for influencers in digital marketing, they take a screenshot of your insights of your Instagram page and they check how many girls follow you. Because that is a metric if your content is actually valuable or not.
Oh wow, I never knew that.
Because for guys, you can show anything to guys and they will
And they'll
watch
follow
it.
you.
They'll follow you. Right? But for a girl to click on the follow button, you're probably doing something right.
Yeah, it has to be worth their time.
It has to be worth their time. Right? Even in terms of parties, it's a metric. Like if it's filled with random guys and chichoras, it's probably a failed party.
Yeah. Stag party,
Yeah, it's
not
a stag party. But if girls trust your event, if girls trust your brand, you've probably done the hygiene check, the safety check, the location check, all checks are done.
sure.
So then I started communicating with both guys and girls. And I started to understand that where are my insecurities? Where is my confidence lacking? And I started filling in those gaps. And then it's an evolutionary process. You just keep reworking on yourself, work on your skill set so that you become very valuable. Start posting on the internet so that you become visible. So usually this is how the chain works. You become very good at something. You start working for other people. Your word of mouth spreads. Other people start talking about you to more people.
Yeah.
Then these more people think, oh, Ansh can give value to me as well. Then they involve you in your plans. Right? So then you become a part of their plans as well.
Yeah, and they're betting on you then,
Yeah,
right?
then they're
Because
betting
their
on you.
success depends on your success as well. So you
Exactly.
basically create a bunch of supporters for you unknowingly who now are in a way cheerleaders for you, because when
Yeah.
you succeed, they succeed. So it's very important.
And the most interesting thing is, so I would recommend everyone to follow this guy, Naval Ravikant. He has this
Yeah.
book called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. He talks about the concept of luck.
I think it's lying right next to you. Yeah.
Yeah, great book.
Yes.
Right? So the interesting part is he gives this example of a deep sea scuba diver. He says that let's just assume that you are the world's best deep sea scuba diver. And by chance, somebody in the city, by luck, gets to know about a treasure sunk deep into the ocean. Now, this person knows about the treasure, but he can't access that treasure because he's not a scuba diver. So he talks to everyone, gets to know about you. Why? Because you have spent enough time becoming the best scuba diver.
Yes.
Now he will come to you to get access to the treasure. And now just because you are good at something, that guy got lucky, he
Yeah.
got a tip. Now because you are good at something, his luck just became your luck.
Absolutely.
And now he will come to you and give you a cut of the deal simply because you were the root. So the better you become at multiple skills, other people ka luck now becomes your luck. If I am a great designer, some lucky guy gets an app idea, he will come to me. If I am great at AI, a lot of Indian companies that are getting lucky with their monthly budgets and everything, they will come to me.
Yeah.
So when they get lucky, I get lucky. So that is how you need to position yourself.
Oh, makes a lot of sense. I think what I'm also hearing you say is that you spent a lot of time on yourself, but being self-aware. And I think what I struggle with when I look around me is that no one is being in that present moment. You know, no one is making the effort to be here with you, meet you where you are, because either we are distracted, like you said earlier, we're all in our heads. So
Yeah.
even though I'm sitting with you, I'm not really with you.
Yeah.
Or I'm actually with you and I'm busy trying to think through how will I make a reel with you.
Yeah.
You know, or actually making a reel in that moment, or making a YouTube video, all of which is great. I'm not saying those are bad things, but I'm saying is that there is a time for everything, and we are almost overwhelming ourselves with these distractions.
Yeah.
And so how do you really come back and take that time to think through what do I want and how am I being, one, self-aware, two, being present. And I think for me, being present is my meditative practice that helps me be in this moment. And what it also does is, because I'm in this moment, it allows me to hear my inner voice and show me that magic in the universe which I had not even imagined for myself. So,
Yeah.
almost as if I had a plan for myself and I thought that was the best plan. And if I
Yeah.
got this, I would have made it in life.
Yeah.
And then suddenly one door of that process shuts. And I have two options. One is I go down that victim path that, why did this happen to me? And this was my plan. And I get anxious and I go into depression. Or the other option is that I spend that time with myself and I figure what next. And more often than not, the door that opens on the other side is something that I had not imagined for myself. And it's happened in my life, and I've seen the magic
Yeah.
happen and seen the way that just plays out for me.
Yeah.
And all I need to do is really be present and listen to my voice and be willing to say yes when that happens and trust it.
Mm.
I know that that's happened to you as well. So, can you sort of share what those moments have been for you?
For sure, right? Like, I think every month I realize that I've been thinking too small. I think that I'm thinking great about myself and this is the best that can happen to me. And then I have to remind myself that no, life is huge. I think before I even get to the main advice, I would recommend people to spend more time in nature and history.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some documentaries that I would recommend. There's this thing called Our Universe on Netflix. It would really open up your
Oh,
mind. Morgan
yes.
Freeman narrated. Brilliant stuff. There's this documentary called Cosmos on Disney Plus Hotstar. It's on the story of our universe. So these things, when I watch these videos, even my wallpaper right now, like iOS has this wallpaper of a galaxy. So instead of a clock, it's like how far the sun, Earth is from the sun. So I keep looking at that because you realize the bigger picture, right? So I keep reminding myself that you might be thinking small, that there's a very bigger picture. So that grounds me, first of all. That all of this is not about me. I am not in the center. I'm part of the plan. Now I have to work on myself and figure out how do I be a part of the evolution. As I said, not be a poser, probably be something that promotes evolution. See, I also feel that when it comes to self-awareness, there can be multiple categories of self-awareness. When you say that I am self-aware, I would say that I'm slightly self-aware, but you would be imagining that Ansh probably sits 1 hour every day, meditates, and probably lives like a monk. But I use Instagram 3 hours, 4 hours a day. I am also distracted. So when I tell you that you need to be self-aware, I'm not saying to switch off your Instagram and go into monkhood. Self-awareness is just being conscious about what you're doing on a daily basis. It can be as simple as when you're brushing, instead of thinking about thoughts, just know the fact that you're brushing. Feel the toothbrush on your teeth. Feel your weight standing. And it would just calm your thoughts down. Also, you need a lot of people around you that can see your bullshit and tell you that this is bullshit.
Call you out on it.
Yeah, you need people that tell you that this is stupid, right? Otherwise, you will keep living in your fantasy world. There are some friends who promote victim mindset. You'll say, "Oh, he did so bad to me," and they'll be like, "Yeah, he did so bad at
बहुत
you,
बुरा हुआ
poor
यार तेरे साथ.
baby,
Yeah.
poor baby. What will you do now? Don't have such losers around you. Just cut them away." Like at this point, I have some very good friends. I feel so grateful to God that all of my friends are way smarter than me, way more successful than me, and they just teach me so much. And I also know that they're also struggling with this, right? We all are struggling with our screen times.
Sure.
We don't know how to switch off the phone. We get distracted all the time. But it's all about doing those small, small changes that bring closer to yourself, right? And the more you hang out with people with more clarity, the better your thoughts get.
100%. I remember. So I grew up in a school and a kind of thought process which was embedded and rooted in the Krishnamurti Foundation. So their
Legend.
thinking. Yes, exactly. And so I studied in Chennai in the school. We called it the school. It still is there. And that's exactly what my principal used to tell us in our assembly. We had a beautiful walkway from our parking where we used to get dropped at school and walk to the assembly hall. And most of us were either busy talking to each other. Luckily, we didn't have mobile phones at
Yeah.
that time, and we weren't even allowed to carry them into school. But you would either be chatting, or you'd be looking at your shoes, or something as bizarre as that. And he would literally tell us, be open to that walk. Look at the plants around you. Maybe something has flowered. Maybe there's season time for some other plant to grow, or something has, just sort of the height of the plant has grown. Why don't you pay attention to your environment? Or there's a new bird that has come in. And at that time, of course, when you're in class 7, class 8, you're like, oh my God, again he
Yeah.
goes. But somewhere, because it is said to you and it's part of the ethos of the school, it gets part of your subconscious. And now I see the value of it, because it just helps me be so much more present and be so much more open to what is coming. Very often now when I'm walking through so many places which I'm routine, you get very mechanical and almost robotic about it, especially like these activities of brushing your teeth or going to work or driving or even in your office, that you actually miss out even, I would say, meeting your own colleagues in that moment. You don't even look at them. You're like, if they've had a haircut, they've had a shave, or in your case, like grown a beard. You've not even spent the time to actually notice that, because we're so used to being extremely caught up, or create this illusion around ourselves that we're very busy and we're very caught up, and so we don't have time for all this. Right? So I completely agree with you on even doing the small things makes a huge difference. But then also tell me, another thing which we're all really struggling, and you said you were struggling with as well, that when do you then sort of digitally detox and switch off and then tap into your creative self to be able to know, okay, what's next for me?
Yeah, so there's no set routine. Actually, I just keep myself inspired. I think I have no digital detox as of now, but I have these timely reminders to go away from the computer and just walk for 10 minutes.
Right.
Go to the gym almost every day. Spend some time just talking to my parents, just sitting with them, laughing, probably seeing a joke or something,
Yeah.
doing like more human stuff, right? And sometimes I would just sit around and just remind myself that we are actually a living miracle, right? Like even at this point, like look around you. These are all legacies. Electricity, this camera, this mic, there's probably billions of electrons running through the speed of light.
Yeah.
And you and me are talking right now, but even 10 years later, some person would be listening to this conversation. And then
And hopefully getting inspired.
yeah, and everything that I'm telling you is probably converted into electrical signals in that guy's brain, and it's going into the neurons, and it's all chemistry, atoms, electrons. Like if you really, really think about it, and this is proven, right? Like science is telling us that this is happening in real time.
Yeah.
You would realize that all of this is because two rocks hit each other billions of years ago.
Yeah.
Like two big rocks hit each other, and that is why we are here. So when you look at the entire timeline, you get shocked and you'll be like, I am so lucky to be part of this fictional game, even though this is not leading anywhere. We're probably going to be like a burnt rock 1 billion years from now. We were a rock before, and you and I were made up of like cosmic material. Like, what's the guarantee I might be a star 1 billion years ago, right?
Yeah, but what you have is today and this present moment to leave either a legacy or inspire people around you or make your own mark in some way. I know that impact and legacy is something which is highly overused these days, and
Yeah, but everything's going to get perished anyway in the long
yeah,
run.
exactly. But at least I think it gives you, to your bringing the conversation back to what you said, which it at least gives you purpose.
It gives you
It
purpose.
gives you the ability to wake up every day and say like,
Be
okay, that's what
excited.
I'm working
Yeah,
towards. So
yeah.
let me keep going.
And because you love it, right? Like I would totally teach people about AI even if I knew the world is going to end. I would teach people about design even if
Yeah.
I knew all apps are going to get killed, because I love it. I don't care if everything is going to go into dust.
Because at least you're happy while
I'm
you're doing
happy,
it.
yeah, enjoying it
and
so
that's
much.
what counts really. There is no
Yeah.
standard playbook to any of this. I think all you
Yeah.
can do is like, you've shared through your experiences that you can just take the right call and then decide what you want to do from there on. No one
Yeah.
decision is going to get you that success.
And also position yourself online. Like have a personal brand online, because networking offline is very expensive. So you can build a brand online with very little money, and then internet will work for you
Yeah.
and make you visible to the right kind of people, and then those people will eventually call you offline. So you can
That's
go from
true.
online to offline very easily.
Like you have,
Yeah,
now you're
like
giving,
me.
talks at events and
For
things
sure.
like that. So makes sense. So tell me, what's next? And I think not so much what's next, but I also want to understand. And this is a question I feel which is common through all my episodes. But like, what do you think is your higher purpose in life?
So there are many actually, right? Like I have like a 20-year long purpose and a purpose for this year. So I never specify the 20-year long purpose, because even that is evolutionary. It might evolve. But for this year, my job is to educate people about AI and design. I feel like these two subjects have been ignored for a very long while. People talk about development and engineering here, but not too much about design and AI.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that if somebody like me who's interested has some place to learn this content from. But I don't want to charge money from kids. Like you would rarely see me selling an expensive course or selling something to the kids.
Yeah.
I want to probably charge like companies.
Right.
Like you pay me. And because you're making a lot of money, I will come and give a talk for you. I will probably consult you. But I want to like earn from people who are already earning a lot and help students build a sustainable, well-paying career. Because I don't want to give you motivation. There are too many people out there with motivational videos. You don't need me for that. But I can tell you how to at least get your first 1 lakh rupee a month.
That's huge.
Right? Like once you get to your first 1 lakh rupee a month, I know that the motivational videos can take you ahead.
Also, if you figure that out, you will find a way to exponentially grow from there. You will find your path.
But that 1 lakh checkpoint is very important.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. And thank you for sharing that. And, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I think what I most enjoyed is that I've met many people, many successful people as well, and I talk to them. And what sets them apart, and that's the quality I see in you as well, is that they're very aware and they can look in the rearview mirror and say and be aware of what got them there. So it's just not that they have blindly reached where they have reached. They have actually taken the decisions to be where they are today because they were very conscious, they were very thoughtful, they were very, I would say, in a way also visionary to see that this is the path I want to chart for myself in life. And I see a lot of that in you. So
thank you.
Thank you for sharing lot of your insights and your journey and your inflection points. And I hope to stay connected and keep talking to you. But thank you for your time and thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
As we're drawing to a close, I'd love for you to share your impressions of today's episode. Do you have a favorite part, some key insights, or any ideas on future topics and potential guests? Your comments matter to us and will influence the content of our future shows.